Hey guys, and welcome to the Collective Indie Spotlight with me, Danny Morales. I got my producer, Steven Spivak. We got Brendan running the store. We're doing this every Tuesday here on the Collective Facebook page starting at 5:30. And today we are very honored to have a very special guest, Mr. Axel Alonso from AWA Upshot. Welcome, Axel. How have you been? How have you been handling quarantine? Just
Hanging in.
fill us in. How's it been for you so far?
Hanging in. If you hear thudding, it's my daughter dancing above. Okay.
We got a dancer in the family, huh?
She's 4 years old, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Get her started early. Good idea.
Basketball. I got to dribble with the left hand already. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
we got a
I'm
sports
on.
one here, huh? She might not have to do comics, huh?
Maybe not. My son doesn't like comics. He's 17. Yeah, he's all about all about sports. Yeah.
How do you deal with that? With you are running a publication here. You've been in comics forever, and your son doesn't read them.
It's good because a father wants a son to walk their own path.
Yeah.
Like when he was 7, he put his arm around me when I was at Marvel, and he said, "Papa, I'm not that into comics." I said, yeah, all right.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. That's good though, man. That's good. You don't want to push them, right? So Axel, man, it's been, I think, first of all, the pandemic's had what I believe time is flying, but it's been probably 6-7 months now since AWA's had their first book on the shelf. Resistance was the first book you guys put out.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about, first of all, just talk to me about your motivation. I know you had worked with Marvel, you had worked with DC Vertigo. Now you're doing your very own thing. Talk to us about your motivation of creating this AWA Upshot that you have so far.
I'm happy to. When I left Marvel, I was thinking about my next move when I got a call from Bill Jemas, my old friend and former boss at Marvel Comics, who hired me back in the day. He said, "Look, I'd like you to come out to dinner with me and my friend Jonathan Miller this week if you're able to." And I said, "Sure." I knew Jonathan's name because Jonathan was the guy who sold Mark Miller's Miller World to Netflix. So we have a mutual friend in Mark Miller. So needless to say, I called Mark Miller and said, "What do you think about Jonathan?" He said, when I spoke with Bill and Jonathan, they said, "Look, we're looking to build a company. We'd love you to be a part of it, the third partner. What do you say?" And I thought, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to build a new comic book publisher that does a wide variety of books, creator-owned and shared universe, and build a new universe for the 21st century. The DC characters were born in the 40s and 50s. The Marvel characters, for the most part, in the 60s and 70s. So they reflect those eras. You could refresh them and modernize them, but they were still born in that era. So the idea of creating something from scratch that's rooted in now, like what people care about now, what they're scared about, what they dream about, what our kids and what our kids and the next generation are living. So I decided to join, and then the first thing is, if we're going to create a shared universe, I need someone who's a lot smarter than me who can build a universe from scratch. Someone who's got the pedigree and the ability to build a universe. I knew I wanted a committee of people to work with, a creative committee, so I'd have more than one person, but I wanted one person at the middle, like the Master Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one name on the list, J. Michael Straczynski, who wrote Babylon 5 and Sensei, there you go. And also wrote Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and Thor for me at Marvel. And I thought, this is a great idea. Only one problem, he's retired from comics. He retired from comic books very publicly. I'm done with it.
Yeah, he hadn't written anything since Babylon 5, I think.
Yeah. Again, he'd been out for a while. He called me. I call him. I say, "Hey, Joe, listen, I'm going to be in LA next week, and I'd love to chat with you." He said, "Yeah, come over, have some lemonade." So I go to his house, his palace in LA. I walk up his driveway. My legs are shaking, like trembling. I go in and I say, I'm acting a little cool, but I'm anything but. And I say, "So Joe, listen, we've got a new company going. I want to build a new shared universe. What do you say?" And he said, "You know what? I was hoping you might be talking about something like this." So I knew I had a chance. So we started talking. And then I came back to LA a couple of weeks later to talk brass tacks about the universe. And we agreed, we thought it would be really cool to create a universe that was born in a tragedy. Something big and bad happens. And what it does is it creates death and destruction, but it also creates a new race of people, superhuman people. So all these people, whether they live in San Francisco or Zimbabwe, they're all family. You understand? They're all born in the same tragedy, the same predicament.
They're all connected.
So they're like mutants. They're like mutants insofar as they're connected, whether they know one another or not, they're connected, and also they're hated and feared. So then, without missing a beat, Joe said, yeah, tragedy, good idea. It should be a pandemic. He says, people aren't scared about gamma radiation and nuclear war now. When I was a kid, we used to duck and cover under our desks, he says. But now people aren't worried about that. What people are worried about is the next super flu, the next big germ that comes along that's resistant to drugs. This is what people are worried about. I said, you're right. So we met with the creative committee. We talked about it further. And then we got out of his way, and he wrote. And we came back with The Resistance, which is the origin story of our shared universe. The origin story is there's a worldwide pandemic called the Great Death. It causes massive death around the planet. And in the aftermath, some of the people that had the virus, instead of dying, exhibit superpowers. So what happens is now the world is reacting to this massive event. They're traumatized. There are forces that are capitalizing on this to sow fear. And you see a rising fascism in the United States under a new president. Imagine that. Imagine a politician who minds the fears of people and then mobilizes people on a fear-based campaign. It takes control. So again, there's our book, our resistance book. The thing is that we launched the book. We had no idea COVID was coming. Resistance #1 comes out the first week of the quarantine. So oops.
You guys literally got on shelves right before you were the last book to hit shelves before quarantine.
The last book. We just got in, which is wonderful from a synchronicity point of view. But on another, you don't want to launch a new publisher in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
You're thinking, who's going to find the books? We kept them alive. Our books out there on Webtoons, on digital. People knew they were out there, knew they were good. And I'm happy to say that the sales of all of our books have been through the roof. Oh, every single book we put out has sold out. We could have gone back to print 5 times, but we didn't. 5 different books could have come back to print. We didn't because the demand wasn't quite high enough to get into the printing costs. You follow me? So we figured the trades are coming out in October. The first 5 trades are coming out: Resistance, Hotel, Archangel 8, Red Border, and Year Zero. They're all coming out in October. There you go. Thank you.
And Year Zero is added on there after that, but yeah.
Yeah, Year Zero is added to that as well. So, we launched in a pandemic. Luckily, the retailers and fans are supporting us. People like what we're doing, and we're very happy. We took the beach, so to speak. Then we would take the hill.
You mentioned the uncanniness between Resistance and what Joe was able to do.
Yeah.
And what actually ended up happening about a week after the book released. And obviously these things are written way in advance and things like that. But what kind of reception did you get when you literally have a book dropping that's kind of very much what was happening at the beginning, minus, the percentages there and everything like that, but very much felt real. When I read that first issue, a week into the pandemic, I said, oh my gosh.
I think it gave our story legitimacy. The thing is, we were promising we were going to create a superhero universe for the 21st century, one that wasn't rooted in the past, but the present. And we delivered an event that starts it that couldn't be more contemporary. So I think we're off to the right start insofar as, we're definitely tapping into what people are worried about right now. I think the number one issue now is COVID followed by Black Lives Matter right now. And the upcoming election, these are the 3 issues of the day. Globally, COVID is the issue of the day.
Yeah.
And, for you and me, I'm in my house now. You're in your studio. Yep. I'm sitting here praying my daughter doesn't come barging down the steps and doing her interview. Because that's the way we're living now. That's the way we're living, So it helped us get credibility. And certainly it didn't hurt our sales. More importantly, the thing is that from a creative standpoint, we feel like we're on point. We feel like it's on point. We tapped into, maybe when Peter Parker and Hulk were created, people were worried about radiation, right? Joe was onto something when he said pandemic.
He was very much onto something.
He had no idea what was coming, but he was smart enough to predict what the zeitgeist was.
Yeah. And the book's been great. That actually leads me into my next question. I noticed with all the Resistance book or all of the AWA books, they're miniseries, 5, 6, 4 issues.
Yes.
Where did that come about? Is that something maybe you learned from your previous workings with Marvel or DC, or was this something that you decided that the miniseries was kind of the way to go?
Yeah, happy to answer that question. For starters, let me say, and then I'll answer, is that the Resistance Volume 1 functions like Season 1 of an ongoing story. The first 6 issues are Season 1. They're getting collected in a trade that comes out in October, as I said. Resistance Volume 2 or Season 2 is already written and half drawn. Awesome. So it's underway. Yeah. The same thing is true of Year Zero. Year Zero, the first 5 issues are Season 1. Season 2 is written and half drawn, and we'll be announcing it soon. Ooh. So again, our books are built to last. But the thing is that ongoing series, it's a very hazardous game to play. Because when you do an ongoing series, open the door for it to turn into being a grind, a monthly grind. You open the door for chips and for fill-in artists and all the things that make a book lose its quality. You follow me?
Yeah.
The thing is, when you do things as managed seasons, like we're doing with Resistance Volume 1, it's a full series by one writer and one artist, their vision. They tell the story. It's compelling and it's over like a season of TV. There's enough loose plot threads and questions raised to tell another volume, which is underway. So the thing is, Bad Mother in contrast, Bad Mother is a series which is 5 issues. It's 5 issues. The story's over when it's done. There's no plan for a Bad Mother 2, but that doesn't mean that we won't consider it. Okay. Again, it's not built necessarily to beg a sequel, but I'm not sure when they made Taken, they knew they were going to do a Taken 2, Yeah. There's nothing to say that April Walters won't have another thing to deal with after this story's over.
Yeah.
So assuming she survives, So
exactly.
I'm a big believer in doing limited series as a way to tell a full story, an arc of a story that has a sense of completion, can collect as one beautiful trade to sit on your shelf that tells one story, that's by one creative team, that ships regularly. And then the next time you have a story to tell, come in with a new issue 1, a new story. I think it just makes sense for us in this era. And Marvel, we did that a lot as well. And
so,
Marvel, we tried to do was to tell stories in arcs and have creative teams come on and take over and do a run.
Yeah.
Keep the sales up and keep the interest up, because the characters have been around for so long that it was more sexy to come with a new number 1 and a clear-cut message about a new story being told. Same thing with our books now, with AWA's books, Upshot's books.
So when you mentioned that Resistance is going to get a season 2, I think we saw that solicited or on your website. Actually, I think I saw that you guys were talking about that. You just mentioned that Year Zero will get a season 2, which is that is this the first? Is this? Can we call this an exclusive? Are we early on that boat?
Yeah, you're early. You're early. Yeah, you're early.
So that's going to have a season 2. How do you go about deciding which ones? And I know you said you don't close the door on any of them, but how do you go about deciding which ones you okay for a season 2 and things like that? Or do you leave that up to the creators? Do you let Ben and Joe decide that?
Well, there's no creator that's built a book that they know has legs that doesn't welcome doing a sequel. Okay. Like Michael Moresi I'm sure would do another Archangel 8. You follow me? Yeah. And that conversation could happen any moment now. The thing is that I would honestly say that it just comes down to the fact that the Resistance was always built to lay down the foundation for a universe. Joe would write a part of that story, but other writers would tell parts of the story as well. We have series coming out that tie into the Resistance and grow out of the Resistance, that Joe didn't write. He wrote Resistance 2, and he also wrote a book called Moss, which is coming out soon, which is a spin-off featuring a particular kind of reborn character that is introduced in the Resistance #1.
Okay.
We also did the Resistance webtoons that were available on our website that told the origin stories of some people that you saw in the Resistance #1 comic book.
Mm-hmm.
So a variety of things we're doing. But again, the thing is that many books like Devil's Highway, if Ben Percy wants to do another Devil's Highway, odds are we'll do another one. We just need to just take a look at how people respond to it. If enough people like it, we're there.
And you mentioned the webtoons and things like that. Will that ever be printed? Is that something you're potentially thinking of maybe throwing in another free comic book day book in the future, or maybe doing like a companion piece? What are your guys' plans with that?
Well, the webtoons were our way of keeping the books we'd worked hard on at making, giving them a platform for people while the stores were closed.
Oh, okay.
So yes, we did the webtoons to get people to go to the books, but then since the Resistance became such a big, hot book, we decided, look, while people are talking about the Resistance now, as we're waiting for stores to open, let's do a series of straight to webtoon comic books.
Okay.
Stories that we will collect it. Yes, that will be collected.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, we will print it. Yeah, to answer your question quickly, yes, we will.
So, you've already mentioned to me a couple of things. I could totally see. You've been in the industry forever, but what kind of things did you take from DC Vertigo or from your time at Marvel that have helped you make AWA a success, or that has helped that make at least an easy transition for you guys?
Sure. Well, when I was at Vertigo, I grew up and became an editor, learning how to do comic books or original stories. Many of them were creator-owned, like Preacher and 100 Bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Others were characters like John Constantine that had been around for a while, but they were mature readers' books. They were done for an audience that wasn't just collecting issues of Spider-Man. They were looking for stories that were experimental, that were challenging, were a bit literary.
Mm-hmm.
And were definitely skewed toward teen to adult. Yeah. So they weren't geared at collectors so much as at readers. So at Vertigo, I developed my editorial skills and my tastes. Like I said, editing books like Preacher and 100 Bullets, and finding new talent, discovering talent, and getting them on board. When I went to Marvel, it was a completely different challenge. Because at Marvel, when Bill, my partner now, who is then the president of Marvel, offered me a job at Marvel, I'm never going to work for Marvel. He said, why? And I said, because I don't like superheroes. And he said, why? I said, well, I haven't read them in years, He said, well, he sent me a box of stuff to read. Reading X-Men and Spider-Man and stuff like that. And he said, think about it. And I started thinking more and more about the possibility of getting involved with Marvel. What I started to do was look at the characters and say, all right, so Spider-Man is a superhero, but the Hulk is horror. The Hulk is body horror.
Yep.
The Punisher is crime.
Yes.
Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, is martial arts action. Fury is espionage. Black Panther is a combination of superheroics and espionage. He's like a black James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
So what I start to do is say, look, the problem is when you look at superheroes as being nothing but superheroes. Each character could be defined as a genre. So I decided, look, I'm going to go to Marvel. So at Marvel, what I found, the challenge was to take these characters who had been around for decades, most of them older than me, they've been around longer than me, and keeping them fresh. But not just for an audience of converted fans, but also for a new audience. When Bill brought me on, he said, you need to double Spider-Man sales.
Wow.
So I said, I want Straczynski. So we got Straczynski on board, who was writing Rising Stars, and he doubled our sales. He wrote a really good book. Our sales doubled, and then some, and we were back on the map. So it really was about getting the right talent in the right place to tell fresh stories for a new audience. So at Marvel, the challenge was always that you never looked at a blank sheet of paper. It was never a blank canvas you're looking at. You always had toys, ingredients you had to play with. And fans would get mad when you messed with them. Well, I did a book called Truth, Red, White, and Black in 2000. And the concept was, okay, so I don't buy the notion that if Uncle Sam created a super soldier serum, the guinea pigs would have been white dudes. So looking at the Tuskegee experiments as an antecedent, I went to Robert Morales and I gave him that pitch. He said, I'll write that. He wrote a book about the secret experiments to develop the super soldier serum that were conducted on a group of African American soldiers. So it was the first. Captain America was black. The first guy to be field tested was black. And out there in fandom, they hated it. Oh, you're ruining my childhood. You're ruining Captain America. Captain America's not black. He's white. You know, all this stuff.
Yeah.
No. Don't even get me started on Miles Morales. You know, I got death threats of him. Oh my God, you're killing Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not black. Spider-Man's white. You know, you're ruining my childhood. All the rest of the stuff. And the other end of the spectrum, I get letters from people saying, "Thank you for letting my child see themselves in a hero."
Mm.
Well, when you see Spider-Man peel back the mask and he's a black kid, let alone a mixed kid, black Latino, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I absolutely, actually, that I was gonna say I wasn't gonna mention it. My producer obviously told me to mention it, but you know, I'm a Latino. My last name's Morales. My nephew's first name is Miles. My brother literally, we named our, my nephew's name is Miles Morales. For his first birthday, I bought him an Ultimate Fallout, you know, CGC. Like, we have that now in the collection. But I just want to ask you, and you know, and then we'll go right back to AWA. What has it been like for you? You know, you mentioned that you got death threats and everybody complaining, but now, especially since last year's movie, that character he blew up. I mean, he's the biggest thing. What?
It's funny. I mean, again, thanks for asking. I mean, the thing is that it's very vindicating. It's very vindicating to see the characters being embraced the way that they are. When you see Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen on the big screen, when you see Black Panther as a huge movie, when very few people had faith in Black Panther as a comic book, when you see that happen, when you hear rumors of the next Captain America being the Falcon. Mm-hmm. I did that in comic books, and I got yelled at by the Uber fans. So again, maybe it wasn't that bad a move when we did it if it's being embraced by the larger world. You know, so it's
exactly
validating. I don't get any money from that, but again, it's validating. Nonetheless.
Sometimes it takes a long time for good ideas to be realized, right?
yeah, without a doubt. But also the thing is, like, look, you know, I'm Latino myself. It's like, so the thing is, like, I grew up thinking to myself, I'm half Mexican, so where the hell are the good Mexican superheroes? There's none. There's none. There's good black superheroes. There's an African superhero. There's lots of whites. A couple of Asians. Where's a good Mexican superhero? I'm sorry, but Blue Beetle and White Tiger just don't do it for me.
Then that's funny. Like, as a DC fan, I have to be a Jaime Reyes fan just because he's the only one I got, you know. But yeah.
Like, I didn't hate White Tiger, but I can't embrace White Tiger the way I can embrace Black Panther. As a little kid, I loved Black Panther. I thought, man, that guy's so dope. Look at that costume. Yeah. And he peeled off his mask. I'm like, damn, he's not Mexican.
That's hilarious. But no, I feel that, and I tell it to people all the time. I said we'll get there. Us Latinos we'll start getting our own characters. I know there was Sideways from DC.
I got something for you coming.
I
got something coming. Yeah.
So you mentioned, Axel, about, you know, finding talent, finding creators when you were at DC, when you were at Marvel. You mentioned that, you know, you got to work with Joe at Marvel. So the creators that you have on these books are no slouches. You have J. Michael Straczynski working. You got Mike Deodato doing art on both of these.
Yeah.
You have Ben Percy with two. Ben Percy's got 2 books out with Year Zero and Devil's Highway. You got Rob Williams on Old Haunts.
Yeah.
How did you go about finding these guys? How many of these guys maybe came to you, and how did you pick who was going to fit with the AWA vision?
All these guys, for the most part, are people that I knew and worked with in the past. I worked with Ben at Marvel on the Wolverine podcast.
Okay.
I thought he was wonderful. For some reason, I couldn't get him hired by an editor when I was there, but they didn't hire him for Wolverine until I was gone. But again, the thing, and by then I would already announced Year Zero and Devil's Highway. Yeah. The thing is that, you know, Ben is a terrific writer, not only his comic books but his books. Mm-hmm. In all honesty, it was his books and The Long Night that made me think he would be a wonderful person to work with. So he's one of the first people I called when I was starting up the company. We spoke about some ideas. He pitched me Devil's Highway. I loved it. Then I actually pitched him Year Zero.
Oh.
The concept. I said, look, I would love to do a book that takes a global look at the zombie apocalypse. The world is over. The dead are walking the earth. How do you react if you're a a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Catholic, an atheist from a different part of the world. And then Ben mulled it over and he came back with the cast. A Yakuza hitman, a young Mexican boy, homeless boy, very Catholic, an atheist, what do you call him, incel, survivalist, and an Afghan woman who's Muslim, who's a translator for the military. And we thought these stories are going to be very different. Each of these people is going to view this event through their own experience. What is their story? What is their story? And it was fascinating. And we realized this is a big, expensive concept because it means you can go anywhere, anytime and tell the story. So Arc 1 takes place during the outbreak. It is the outbreak. It's happening. The world is ending right now. Little exclusive for your show, Arc 2 takes place a few months later.
Okay.
A few months later. So again, we have the latitude with series to jump around in time, not only all around the world, but also jump around in time and tell different stories because things change. The stories in Arc 2 are going to be a bit different because by now the people have adjusted a little bit.
Yeah.
They're used to walking around and seeing corpses trying to bite them.
Yeah.
They're used to this now.
I noticed even in issue 3 or 4 that just 3 that just hit, people are starting to sense like, they're running into that already. So yeah.
Exactly. So we have, Ben has endless ideas for stories to go onto the future. So volume 2 will be out soon, and the trade will be out in October of volume 1.
Awesome.
And it's one of my favorite books. I couldn't love it more.
It's been one of our top sellers. That was one of the first reasons I reached out to you. But that book, I'm a zombie fan. I read it the day we got it, and literally we sold out of all of our copies like
Me
that.
too, yeah.
So
it's funny. I'm a zombaholic. Yeah. But the thing is funny because I was always prepared for people to go, oh, another zombie book. You don't need another zombie book. What do we need a zombie book for? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Zombie is one of the greatest genres because it's not about the zombies. They're just a complication. It's about the people.
Yeah.
There's endless stories to tell. Endless stories to tell about how people treat people under pressure.
So let me ask you, we've talked about all these books. We've mentioned multiple times the connective, how it's a shared universe. You said it. You guys don't hide it. You put it in the back of the books. It's a shared universe. And as somebody who's read all these books, I kind of see connective fibers between certain books in certain moments that I'm reading. But I guess the question is, will there be a moment where we're all going to see it come to pass? Will there be maybe an anthology book? Will there be a point where we're all going to see these things cross?
I'll put you like this. Not every single book we put out is built to be in the shared universe, right? Now that doesn't mean that it won't be. It just means not everything was built with the intention of being in the shared universe. Many of the books you're going to know very quickly they're shared universe because we're going to tell you loud and clear.
Okay.
We're going to announce a book very soon about a book, and it's loud and clear. This character was born in the Great Death.
Okay.
Right? You're going to see that, and you'll see echoes of what have you. There'll be overt clues about that. That's a character that we have plans to integrate into that, do a crossover and crossover soon. But other books, it's not going to be very clear at all. And there's a couple as well where there's no plan currently, but that doesn't mean it won't be. You follow me?
Yes.
It doesn't mean it won't be. Yeah. Like I said, Bad Mother is not built to be a part of the shared universe. But I got to tell you, when I read Bad Mother, I got to wonder how April Walters would fare in the Resistance universe. You follow me? And that's
exactly. Yeah.
It's always an option. It's always an option. So I don't want to front and make everybody think everything is complete. But again, like I said, nothing is excluded from shared universe. Certain things are built and it's completely clear. And other things like Year Zero, it's built so there's a place for it in our shared universe, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I love that you came right back to Year Zero because I was just talking. We were literally just talking yesterday, me, my producer, and a customer in store, about how Year Zero kind of revitalized the zombie genre. It was a genre that people I think were a little worse for wear after Walking Dead and everything. And then Year Zero comes out as this fresh thing that actually starts at the beginning of the pandemic. Most zombie books just kind of leave that mystery. And it really, I personally feel that it's revitalized the zombie genre. Have you guys heard that? I mean, you mentioned that you're a big zombie fan, but have you heard it from other horror fans?
That, like I said, I'm a zombaholic. There's a few things I know really well. I know basketball, I know hip hop, and I know zombies.
Okay.
I love all three. I feel like I'm a fucking authority, part of my French, about all three things. Because I have a deep love for them that dates back to being a little kid.
Okay.
I know my stuff. So the thing is, I felt it in my gut when Ben and I were talking about the stories we were going to tell in Year Zero, Volume 1. When he said Saga Watanabe, a Yakuza hitman, he's in Tokyo on an assignment when it happens, and he doesn't let the zombie apocalypse interfere with his day job. I was hooked. Nope. It was like John Wick and a zombie apocalypse. What's not to like? Yep. On the other end of the spectrum, when we said, okay, so we got this guy, JD, and he's an incel. He's one of those guys. He's never been laid. He's addicted to pornography and video games. He was waiting for this moment his whole life. Happened. And now instead of being all distraught, he's happy.
Yeah.
Because again, he was ready for it. I told you guys, he was prepped. He's all prepped. We love it. So again, we feel like, look, you can tell humorous stories, really dark stories, like the story of Daniel Martinez, the Mexican kid. It is vicious. Vicious story. Wow, it is. It gets more and more vicious. Wait till it ends.
Oh,
again, it's heart-wrenching and vicious. You won't see it coming. The Saga Watanabe story is vicious in its own way, but it's also thrilling, like an action adventure. The story in Afghanistan it's inspiring.
Yes.
So the goal is to tell different stories, all in the crucible of the world ending. So I felt good about that. My wife and I frequently will be like hanging out in Brooklyn. One day we were sitting on the steps of the Brooklyn Library, and she said, my wife tapped me and said, what would you do if you looked over there and you saw that guy over there just suddenly bite that guy? That guy goes down, and then that guy starts to shake, gets up, and they start running. What would you do? And then next thing we know, we were imagining all the stuff going on around us in the middle of the Brooklyn Museum, on Eastern Parkway. And I just thought, you know what? I'll never get tired of imagining that scenario. How would I fare? I'm constantly prepping for the zombie apocalypse.
So maybe Year Zero, Season 3, we can have Ben put Axel in as a character, right?
I'd love it. Yeah. No,
maybe even a one shot.
Ben pitched me his idea for Season 3. It is insane.
Oh man! Now you're getting me excited.
Boom! It's boom! I never would have seen it coming. Never. I was at ground floor. So yeah.
So before, because I do have a couple questions about the future there, but I want to not leave Krista and Bad Mother to not be talked about. So first of all, Bad Mother literally hit the shelves last week, and it is by Krista Faust. Krista Faust. She's a crime novelist. How did you go about finding her, and then how did you decide to pair her with Mike's art?
Well, what happened is Krista. I read Krista's books, and I love them. We have mutual friends and some crime novelists, Dwayne Straczynski and Victor Gischler. She worked for me at Marvel, but not for me. I didn't edit her. I was editor-in-chief. I knew she'd written some comic books. I knew I wanted to work with her. So I spoke with her. I said to her, look, Krista, the way it went down. Got this new company. We want to talk together. We want to work together for a while. Here's my idea. How about a story about a soccer mom who's a punisher? Imagine Taken featuring a soccer mom, a middle-aged housewife living in suburbia with no skills, no military training, no martial arts expertise, no superpowers, no nothing. And she gets into bad trouble with some really bad people, and she has to find her way out. What do you think about that? And she said, I love it. I love that. And I thought she might, because I read her books. She said, I love the idea of telling a story about that kind of woman. That kind of woman having to figure out who she is. So she came back and she said, here's my idea. And she comes back with this inciting incident. Her daughter gets kidnapped by some really bad people. I said, I love it. We kept talking. We talked through the broad strokes of the story. Who took the daughter? Who are they? You'll meet who took the daughter in the last page of issue 1. You'll learn who that person is over time. But when Krista described the characters, because she's very much a character-based writer, I loved them and her priorities in writing it. What she wanted to accomplish with the character. And I saw how it mapped out to be an amazing potboiler, a thriller that had incredible action scenes and violence, but also very real.
Yeah.
There's a fight scene. There's a few scenes, but in particular, there's one fight scene in this book that is the most brutal, graphic, and real comic book fight scene I've ever seen, ever.
I think I know which one you're talking about too.
It's coming up. It's huge. It's huge. It's really, really big. It's brutal as hell, and it's very real. And there was a point when Mike drew it, he made it all the more real. More real. Yeah. I mean, he got it. We said, remember, April is not Wonder Woman. She's not Liam Neeson. As much as we joke about her with the gun on the cover, she's not the Punisher. She's not the Punisher.
No.
She's something very different.
Yes.
But she's a hero. She's a different kind of hero.
And so I'm not gonna, I'm not spoiling anything because I think literally it happens in the second page of the book, second or third page. So she is. When I got the book, I thought to myself, okay, this is probably going to be a single mother, right? I opened the book and I'm kind of surprised to see that she does have her husband, but he is not. He's away. Was that something that you wanted to do from the beginning? Was that something Krista put in there that to make sure that the mother was in some way alone in this?
Yeah, we agreed on that initially because when you're plotting out a large story, you have to figure out if she's going to have to do it by herself. Why is it that she can't get help elsewhere? Why can't her husband help her? Why is she alone? Why can't or won't the cops help her? Why does she have to do it by herself? So the first question is, and what about the husband? What do you do there? And then Krista said, we're going to put him away on business. He goes off on a long business trip. He's away. He's out of the country, incommunicado. He's gone for a week. The son is away at camp.
Yep.
So we got him off screen. Husband and father are accounted for, so men are gone. It's all about the women. April, if April's going to save her daughter, she's going to do it herself with a very well-timed assist from her daughter. Her daughter is a tough cookie. Her daughter is very smart. Her daughter is a big help. Her daughter's not this frightened damsel in distress.
Yeah.
It was very important for Krista. She said, I don't want this daughter to be the daughter in Taken. Daddy, thanks for saving me. I don't want that. I want her to be active. I want her to be smart. I want you to see that she's her mother's daughter. And so you'll see that. The daughter is a prisoner, but she's not passive and inactive in the story.
Okay, so we'll be seeing more of her playing a role as the book goes forward.
Without doubt. And the villain is perfectly cast. She's a perfect Joker to April Boy's Batman. So you'll see.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the book. We ordered up on it in the store. I mentioned that to you. I mean, because we felt like no matter how much we kept upping our orders on AWA #1s, we'd still sell out and we'd still sell out. So we upped up on this one.
Brother, thanks a lot. We're a small publisher. We've got big talent and big dreams and big hopes. The thing is, our books, though, we promise our books are going to ship on time and they're going to be big stories by big people. Like I said, no one knew who John Lees was before Hotel. Yeah. That book sold out. Everyone loves it. He's on the map.
I was able to sell that to anybody. Like, we have certain customers, horror, this and that, but anybody I suggested to walked out with it and added it to their sub. Like that was another one.
Thank you for suggesting. Yeah, it's a wonderful book. It's put him on the map. Again, I saw this writer. I saw a book he did called Sync. I thought it was wonderful. I'm an editor, so I always read with a critical eye. But I called him. We hit it off, and he pitched me Hotel. I said, "Let's do this."
So, you also talking about that your stuff. This I believe is Free Comic Book Day was heavily affected by everything. It ended up becoming Free Comic Book Summer. Us here at the Collective will be trying to do a Free Comic Book Day of sorts on September 12th. So we will have all these books out there. But as I was thumbing through this, I noticed, and we've talked about, some season 2s for Resistance, season 2s for Year Zero. I noticed we've got Colin Bunn coming up with Bite Sized soon. Yeah. And Erratic from Car Andrews. What's the plan on those? This is the first I feel like I've heard of them was when I flipped through here. They look great. Those are both grade A creators. How'd you get those guys on board? And was it something that came out after the first wave of people, or did you always plan on kind of having these waves of books
They were
come out?
first wave. They were first wave people. Yeah, Cullen and Curry were some of the first people I spoke with, along with Garth Ennis, Peter Milligan, Ben Percy. Again, to get on board. So the thing is that with Curry's book Erratic is a superhero who fits into the world of the Resistance, and it's clear right at the gate when you read issue 1 how this character locks into the universe. He's born in the Great Death. He's living in the world of the Great Death. Don't be surprised if that character meets the Resistance soon. You follow
Okay.
me?
Yep.
Or gets recruited. Yeah. That is it. Like I said, that's one of the books that is built, absolutely built from the ground floor to be a part of the universe and for everyone to know it right away. A book like Archangel 8, you're going to have to look for clues. We're not going to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like Archangel 8 has got a lot in common with Hellblazer, They're erratic. Yeah. He's a young kid. He's 15 years old. He's got powers, and one hitch is that he can only use the powers for 10 minutes.
Oh.
They've got a battery life of 10 minutes. So if he doesn't get the job done in 10 minutes, he runs out of his powers and he's toast.
Oh.
You better get the job done in 10 minutes or he's dead,
Is it going to kind of be like an Hour Man thing where it's 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes
10 minutes a day. 10 minutes a day. He has to recharge. He better get it done. Or he's in the middle. He's like Mike Tyson in a fight.
Yeah.
And then after 10 minutes, he turns into a normal guy.
Oh.
Yeah. So he better get it done. Yeah. He's a young kid who's moved into a new town with his mom and his brother. So it's, he's like a Peter Parker from the wrong side of the tracks.
Okay. And Carrie Andrews has done, I know the cover work has been phenomenal. People ask us about the covers all the time. When I'm looking at this sheet, this cover right here, that's the only name I'm seeing.
Yeah, he's
so
writing
I'm
and drawing. Yeah.
Writing and drawing.
Writing and drawing. He did Iron Fist, the Living Weapon for me at Marvel.
Okay.
The limited series, which is amazing. If you haven't read it, pick it up and buy it.
Will do.
He did an image series called, I think, the 1% or something like that. He's really good. He's an amazing writer and artist. And this book, when you read it, you'll see it skews a little bit younger.
Okay.
The Resistance is a bit darker, as you see. Bad Mother is a bit darker. Bad Mother's got a lot in common with a Vertigo book, like Preacher or 100 Bullets.
Yeah.
Archangel 8 has got a lot in common with Hellblazer or 100 Bullets.
Yeah.
Erratic has got more in common with the Hulk or Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, awesome.
It's a bit younger, not as dark. It's bouncier. It's a bit more fun. Madcap.
So it'll be something kind of a little bit more for the young adult. Young adults can also read it as well as just any other comic collector.
Exactly. It's accessible to young adults. The same way as Amazing Spider-Man was meant to be accessible to young adults, but also readable by adults. Okay. So too Erratic. Many Marvel comic books and many DC comic books are built so that you can give them to a kid and you're not being a bad parent.
Yeah,
but if you're an adult, if you're like a Pixar movie, I love Pixar movies. My kids love Pixar movies. Doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter how old you are. It's smart enough for an adult, but it's also entertaining for a kid.
Exactly. And then can you tell us a little about Bite Sized from Colin Bunn? Looks like the art's going to be Nelson Blake, and then we got Snakebite Cortez on there. Can you tell us a little bit about Bite Sized?
Yeah, Bite Sized is a book that definitely skews more kid friendly.
Okay.
The concept is very simple. It's a group of robots, of sentient robots. Cute little robots escape from the facility they were created, and they crash land in the the Christmas stockings of a family in suburbia. They crash land there, escaping the facility. They're discovered by the family dog, and later on by the kids. And so essentially it's an adventure. It's a little bit like Toy Story meets Transformers.
Okay.
Little robots that have escaped the people that made them. One of the robots is traumatized by the experience, and he breaks bad.
Oh,
So it's up to the kids and the other robots to stop the robot that's breaking bad from doing bad things, save us and save it. You know?
okay.
So it's a very
Okay.
heartwarming, fun, really well plotted. It's like a Pixar movie, you know?
Nice. So we will be getting two more so young adult books
We'll get
that
that,
can
yeah.
kind of be in the future here from
Without a,
AWA.
without a doubt, without a doubt. I wanted to lay
Awesome.
down the initial stuff I commissioned. I wanted to lay down a footprint in the direct market with books I believe people needed. I really feel like people needed old school Vertigo books.
Mm-hmm.
Books like Preacher, 100 Bullets. You understand? I feel like people need those.
Yeah.
We're going to give them that. We're going to give them smart, adult skewing stories that are action adventure, that are genre pieces, you know, that
Yeah.
fuse genres. Science fiction, horror, Western, crime. You know, Old Haunts is supernatural crime story.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
American Ronin is an espionage book with science fiction. Bad Mother is a straight pulp crime fiction, you know?
Yep.
Year Zero is horror, you know? Horror adventure, you know?
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
I want the
Everything's a
books
little
to be
different.
entertaining. I want the books to be above all entertaining. Entertaining, but thoughtful.
And they have been so far.
Thank you.
So let me. I got just like two more questions for you. I'll let you go. I know we went a little over a half hour today. So this is the back of Resistance 1. When you dropped it in February, out this month you had 4 books. That's what you were doing.
Mhm.
We look at the back of Bad Mother. That was out this month.
Oh yeah,
You've got 8 back there now.
yeah.
What has it meant to you to see it grow from, something like that to now you guys have these books, they're selling out, like you said, you guys are ready to drop trades in October. What's it been like for you?
Bro, I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. This is what I wanted. To be embraced by guys like you, stores like you. I mean, we appreciate your support so much. You know, when I was editor in chief at Marvel, we were king of the hill. We're selling stuff everyone knows. We just to keep it exciting. But now to get you guys trust, to get you guys respect is something that we fought hard to get. And keep earning. So when I get, normal people like you who read comic books, it's in your blood. You love this stuff. You're open-minded. You want to be entertained. You want to be challenged, and you're buying our books. It means a lot to me. The thing is, our goal is, like I said, every month we're going to have one new release or more.
Okay, awesome.
And because certain books end or phase out, they'll be replaced with something new.
Okay.
We'll always have about at least 6 books on the stand every month. Yeah.
That is awesome. And then one of my last questions, and I feel like with the way the comic book industry is going, especially with independent and creator-owned books, this is just a natural question to have to ask you. I know you said that your books are creator-owned. What is your plan for if options come down the line? Have there been any talks? I know, like with the Image and IDW books, that's all of a sudden blown up. What is your plan with handling that with your creators and things like that?
That was the first thing we had to work out. The first thing we had to work out before we went to anybody were the terms,
Okay.
So again, obviously, because I had a creative committee that involved J. Michael Straczynski, General Hutton, Garth Ennis, Frank Cho, Greg Hurwitz, Margaret Stowe. We had to come up with terms for shared universe and for creator-owned that were agreeable to their lawyers.
Okay.
Right? You follow me? So we had to come up with a deal that worked for their lawyers. Straczynski got more lawyers than I've got on my basketball team. I coach rec league. He's got more lawyers than I have basketball players on my team. It's crazy. So again, the thing is, we had to come up with a good deal. So we worked that out in advance. It's safe to say that we're offering the best deal in comics because for creator-owned, we're taking the risk out of creator-owned for people. When someone does a creator-owned book, they're getting paid to do the book as opposed to doing it on their own time, which is especially meaningful for an artist who doesn't have to decide between Deadpool, whether they're going to get paid, or a creator-owned where they might not.
Yeah.
So you're going to get paid for your work. We're going to take all the risk for you, and and then we worked out a fair deal for us to get our cut for the media. So it's the best deal out there. It has to be if you're going to get Garth Ennis, Straczynski to do it, Reggie Hudlin and Greg Hurwitz. So, so again, we had to work that out in advance. You can't even begin a business without having that stuff worked out.
Okay.
So right now we have everybody that works for us gets a cut of their work. They own a piece of it. They get a cut. They have a stake in what they do. So if they create something for the shared universe, they've got a stake. If they create a creator-owned book that that stands on its own, then they own it.
Okay. Well, Axel, you've given us a ton of exclusives. I'm going to ask just this one last one, just in case. Has anything AWA been optioned yet? Are there talks?
I'm not at liberty to talk about that yet. What I will say is that obviously there's lots of look. My partner Jonathan Miller is very well connected. Our investors include James Murdoch, and Liz Murdoch, and Sister Group, and Lightspeed Venture Capital. All of these companies have a stake in us growing and building and what have you. But the thing is, I want to be clear: we're a publisher first and foremost. You follow me?
Yes.
Everybody, no one does a creator-owned comic book hoping it's not a movie.
Yeah.
But again, the goal is to create good comic books, good books, good trades that sell. Right now, we're a modestly profitable publisher, which is good news. To do that so quickly in an epidemic is amazing.
Yeah.
So we just want to keep it that way and then build. But yeah, we have lots of options. Let's put it that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Axel, thank you so much for your time, man. The newest book on the shelves is Bad Mother #1. We have it here at the Collective. We have both covers. Free Comic Book Day we will be having on September 12th, which will have plenty of this Resistance number, or actually the Free Comic Book Day version with some previews in the back. And
Cool.
If you slept on Axel's and J. Michael Straczynski and Mike Deodato's Resistance one, we actually still have a few copies left on the shelf, as well as a couple 2s and 3s. So thank you so much for your time, Axel.
Thank you.
You've been awesome, man. We will continue to stock AWA Upshot here in the store, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again one year too.
I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it, and let's definitely have some more people on your show, right?
We'll get for sure, man. Cool. Absolutely. We'll keep in contact, Axel. I appreciate it, man. You have a good one. Take it easy.
Peace. Take care.
So thank you guys for joining us for our Tuesday Collective Spotlight. Thank you again to our guest, Axel Alonso from AWA Upshot. We will have Bad Mother on the shelves. And don't forget, the Collective will be having Free Comic Book Day on Saturday, September 12th. Come out. We will have all the Free Comic Book Days books, including The Resistance, X-Men, the Spider-Man book. We'll have a ton of them. My Little Pony. Also, don't forget about our Wednesday Hump Day $1 happy hour auction every Wednesday right here on the Facebook page of the Collective. Follow us on social media, Collective CCG on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And we'll see you guys every Tuesday and Wednesday. 5:30 is the time. Collective Facebook Live is the place. Take it easy, guys.